Let me respectfully request a moment of silence for MK Abiola and all those who sacrifice for our independence and our struggle for democracy and a better country. May his souls and all souls of faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace. Today, June 12th, is slated as Democracy Day. Most unfortunately, in our present state, our dear country, Nigeria, cannot be justifiably classified as a democratic country. The vital indicators of democracy are noticeably absent. Some do not even exist. Democracy is said to be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Yet, none of these three measures exist in our democracy today. Rules, regulations, requirements to participate in election or be elected for are not followed. Consequently, people who are not qualified and ought to be ab initio be disqualified are now holding public offices. As we mark June 12th, a day symbolizing the struggle for true democracy in Nigeria, it is deeply troubling that under the present administration, in a short span of 2 years, our nation has witnessed a broad erosion of democratic principles. There has been a corresponding decline in security and the quality of life for millions of Nigerians. We have traversed from rigged elections to collapsing social service, from soaring poverty to rising corruption, and from seemingly stable economy to parlous economy. It is most troubling that in 2 years in office, the present government has brought our nation to the point where our leaders now celebrate and endorse failure, lies, and propaganda. The government today, rather than show genuine accountability and measurable progress, focuses on manipulating the narratives, gaslighting the public, shifting blame, and weaponizing governance. Meanwhile, Nigerians live in a worsening and worrisome insecurity, widespread corruption, hunger, and general despondency. There are no clear benchmarks for measuring tangible development as we continue to witness the collapse of key indicators like education, healthcare, and poverty alleviation, which are the parameters for measuring national progress. Simple comparison of what has happened in the past 2 years now relies on propaganda and misinformation to mark misgovernance. Our country today can best be described as a nation declining fast in all its facets. The security of lives and property has worsened, and the rule of law is virtually non-existent. These are hard, verifiable facts. On May 29, 2023, when this government was sworn in to office, Nigerian gross domestic product, GDP, was $364 billion. As of today, it has declined to $188 billion, a decline of almost 50%. Nigerian per capita income was $1,640 as of May 2023. Today, it has dropped to about $835, a devastating decline of about 50%. Nigerians living in poverty have increased from 38.9% to 54%. Within this period, 129 million Nigerians now live below poverty line. The World Bank recent report stated that 75% of Nigerians in rural areas now live below poverty, and the situation is even more in urban areas. Our education sector has deteriorated significantly. Today we have 18.3 million children out of school, the highest in the world. The quality of education has deteriorated. Our children are now being taught science without science lab and computer without computers. They are now taking exams in darkness with candles. There's not even glitches in the exams. Health services have worsened drastically. The National Primary Health Care Development Agency declared that less than 20% of over 30,000 primary health care centers across the nation are functional. I've even recently visited some where there are delivery rooms without toilets. The United Nations Agency recently reported Nigeria as the worst country to give birth, with one death recorded every 7 minutes. Nigerian businesses continue to collapse at an alarming rate. Within these 2 years, approximately 7 million micro, small, and medium enterprises shut down and folded up across the country. Over 80 manufacturing companies have permanently closed their operations. Funding costs of raw materials and energy costs have surged to an incredible level, making these manufacturing companies to close down. Over 15 major multinational companies, including Glaxo, Snickline, Beecham, Diageo, Procter & Gamble, to name a few, have exited due to harsh operating environments. A hunger crisis arising from food insecurity has deepened in these 2 years. Based on the Global Hunger Index reports, Nigeria's hunger situation has taken a hit, as we are now one of the hungriest countries of the world. Millions can no longer afford food due to high cost of food and non-existent disposable income. national population is experiencing mental health crisis, as the mental health and stress level within this period have increased drastically. Nigeria is now among the top 3 most stressed countries in the world. 59% of Nigerian population are under daily stress. Mental health experts and advocates have warned that the present situation in Nigeria is having extremely adverse effect on the population as it contributes to anger, anxiety, and depression levels in the country. The World Health Organization estimates that over 20 million Nigerians are now affected by mental illness. Despite trillions of naira purportedly saved from removal of subsidy, a policy initially justified as a means to combat and curb borrowing, the present government has within 2 years borrowed more money than the administration of President Umaru Yar'Adua, President Goodluck Jonathan, and President Muhammadu Buhari combined. Today, Nigerian public debt is estimated close to 188 trillion. Nigerians were informed that the debt and the borrowings was to fund critical areas of development, which are education, health, and pulling people out of poverty. Still, no significant improvement in education, in healthcare, in poverty alleviation, which we all know is the most critical measure of national development. Corruption is at its worst in this administration. Nigeria have now become a crime scene. Now our national budget is still inflated and padded without consequences. One of the most glaring manifestations of this is an expensive padding of the 2025 national budget. Budget IT revealed that about 7 trillion was questionably inserted by the National Assembly. These figures suggest a pattern of inflated costs and misappropriation of funds. Power generation rates, which this administration claims to have increased, is yet another propaganda. The only increase in power are the excessive high tariff being paid by Nigerians. The clear indication of this is instant failure of our national grid and darkness. In 2022, Nigeria's electricity tariff for consumers averaged as 64 naira per kilowatt hour. By 2025, there has been a substantial markup in the electricity tariff, with Nigerians now paying approximately 225 naira per kilowatt hour to be in darkness. What we have now is more tariff for more darkness. Nigerians should not forget the firm promise of Mr. President while campaigning 22nd of December 2022, and I'll quote, "If I don't give you constant power in the next 4 years, don't vote for me for second term." It is now been 2 years of constant darkness. This is already a midterm for the administration. We look forward to when you will fulfill this categorical promise. Unemployment remains alarmingly high. Although government has attempted to manipulate the statistics to suit its narrative, the reality is that unemployment is worsening, especially among the Nigerian youths in their productive age. Majority of Nigerian youths are not in education, in employment or training category 8. Multiple reputable organizations, including International Labour Organization and the United Nations Development Programme, have cautioned against reliance on the nation's data as they are inconsistent with the reality on ground. The ILO has noted that Nigerian youth unemployment and unemployment rates remain dangerously high. There are also on the government reporting on unemployment figures without addressing the underlying challenges, as the revised figures do not reflect the hardship in the labor market, which is over 40%. Finally, I respectfully appeal to President Tinubu to emulate late President Umaru Yar'Adua, who had, on assumption of office, was honest enough to admit that the process that brought him into office was wrong and not sufficiently credible, and thus insist on doing what is right to save our democracy. And similarly, President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, who saved our nascent democracy by accepting defeat even before the election results were announced. We must end this troubling governance. We must end this troubling governance era that is filled with impunity, state capture, absolute to rule of law and checks and balances required for what about democracy. Accordingly, transparency and progress for the people. The president should stop touring Nigeria and use the to tour states. Mr. President, you have already made over 30 international trips. Mr. President, you have already spending over 150 days outside Nigeria. If you tour Nigerian states an average each, it will only be about 72 days. Outside of foreign trips. To end insecurity and resettle all Nigerians living in internally displaced persons camps. It is unacceptable that millions of our fellow citizens remain in the displaced camps in their own home state and fatherland, while the rest of us live in comfort and in some cases opulence. Allow the electoral body in the country to truly be independent. The very agency that is supposed to serve as an independent electoral body for Nigerian elections has lost its neutrality and credibility and now operates as an extension of APC government, thus undermining democracy, eroding public trust, and turning elections into endorsements rather than credible contests. Aggressively tackle economic problems by expanding agricultural and manufacturing productivity through measures that will secure our farmers to go back to farms and reduce production costs for manufacturers in order to boost productivity, employment that will in turn contribute to national growth and generate even more revenue for the government. This is a better approach than attempting to increase tax in our productive economy, which will only lead to less growth. This is time to stop propaganda and lies and let us make Nigeria a democratic country it ought to be. I respectfully call on Nigerians not to give up, but to put all hands on deck. Now is time to demand accountability, genuine leadership, and a government that prioritizes the welfare, security, democracy of its citizens over empty rhetoric and propaganda. A new Nigeria is possible. God bless Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.